November 5, 2017. Deep state bloodbath moves to Saudi Arabia as Trump NSA forces continue rampage. A stunning Ministry of Foreign Affairs MoFA report circulating in the Kremlin today states that National Security Agency NSA forces loyal to President Donald Trump have moved the rampage bloodbath they've initiated against their deep state enemies to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and where, just hours ago, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman began a shocking purge of his government by his ordering the immediate arrest of 10 senior princes and over 38 ministers due to their terrorist money laundering associations with both the Bush crime family and Clinton crime family, and that includes one of the richest men in world, Prince Al-Walid bin Talal. Note some words and/or phrases appearing in quotes in this report are English-language approximations of Russian words, phrases having no exact counterpart. According to this report, during last month's historic visit to Russia, Saudi King Salman bin Abdulaziz revealed to President Putin that President Trump had been delivering to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman vast hordes of NSA-intercepted communications showing in extreme detail the terrorist money laundering operation being conducted between top Saudi officials and both the Bush and Clinton crime families, with the final delivery of these shocking communications being made this past week by Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner during his unannounced visit to Saudi Arabia. Important to note about these communications delivered by President Trump to Saudi Arabia, this report explains, is that they were intercepted over decades by one of the most powerful intelligence organizations in the world called the National Security Agency, whom even, in 2009, President Obama's CIA director nominee Leon Panetta was confused about in his mistakenly stating before the U.S. Congress that they were under the control of the Director of National Intelligence, but who are, in fact, under the direct control of the U.S. military. This Obama regime failure to fully understand the power of NSA, this report continues, resulted in them never being able to corrupt it like they did the Justice Department, FBI and CIA, and was most effectively demonstrated this past year when NSA Director Admiral Mike Rogers defied Obama and rushed to Trump's side to warn him of what the deep state was doing to destroy him, and that led to Obama's top intelligence and defense officials calling for Admiral Rogers to immediately be fired, but that President Obama was too in fear to do. As to why President Obama feared the NSA, this report explains, is because this massive intelligence agency records every phone call and electronic communication made in nearly the entire world, and once having recorded everything, they then store it in their gigantic Utah data center from which they can share what they have with other U.S. intelligence agencies, and that barely 8 weeks prior to Obama winning his 2008 presidential election. They not so subtly demonstrated the power of, and that the American actor Shia LaBeouf attested to during his September 16, 2008 appearance on The Tonight Show television program. With the NSA alerting the incoming Obama regime through its Shia LaBeouf conduit of what they were capable of, this warning was, also, this report continues, a misdirection of their full capabilities, and that was revealed by former CIA operative Edward Snowden in his 2013 NSA files release, proving that not 1 out of 5 calls 20% were being recorded, but that up to 80% of them were. The full power of the NSA is important to understand, this report says, because unbeknownst to the majority of the American people, it is entirely legal under U.S. law to have these phone calls recorded. It is only illegal when they are listened to without a warrant being issued, and with barely a handful of these people knowing that President Trump has the full legal power to do all by himself. Known in American constitutional legal circles as a Taney arrest warrant, this report explains, during the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln personally issued an arrest warrant for Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court Robert Taney, and though never executed, but confirmed by historical documents as being true, it has never been disputed as a power given by the U.S. Constitution to a president who controls the entire executive branch of the government. In times of national crisis, too, this report details, American presidents have the full legal power to take on all of the duties of the entire executive branch, and that President Lincoln did during the Civil War that allowed him to suspend the writ of habeas corpus and arrest more than 14,000 political prisoners and shut down more than 300 newspapers. With America being warned that it is nearing a new civil war, this report says, President Trump this past week cryptically began tweeting and publicly stating that he was nearing taking full control over his executive branch of government like Lincoln had done before him, and that his leftist deep state enemies are now calling an impeachable offense, but that the U.S. Constitution says he has the full power to do, and with Trump, also, being able to wield the fearsome 18 U.S. Code 2384. Seditious conspiracy federal law, which states, if two or more persons in any state or territory, or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, conspire to overthrow, put down, or to destroy by force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force the authority thereof, or by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property of the United States contrary to the authority thereof, they shall each be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years, or both. With the Obama-Clinton Democratic Party openly calling for the overthrow of President Trump, who have joined by Hollywood, likewise, calling for Trump's overthrow, and America's elite media trying to take Trump out too, this report continues, all of them are in gross violation of America's sedition and treason laws, which strictly forbid such actions and which the NSA has begun retaliating against. As explained to President Putin by King Salman bin Abdulaziz last month during their historic meeting, this report explains, the NSA was given a secret warrant 3 months ago by President Trump authorizing them to search for and find potential criminal sexual offenses committed against women and/or children by political persons, Hollywood celebrities and media elites, and when such criminal sexual crimes were discovered, the NSA was to then contact the victims to notify them that the information could become public knowledge in any future prosecutions. Scouring through decades of intercepted communications, emails, phone calls, etc. in order to find such criminal sexual offenses occurring against women and children by these elite leftists, this report says, the NSA's contacting of these victims created a tidal wave of accusations being made public, and not by the NSA, but by the victims themselves, who believed it was in their best interest to make the facts known before anyone else. With both Hollywood and the U.S. mainstream media elites now being reported to be in total panic over who will be outed next as a sexual abuser, this report details, the Trump NSA retaliation against the deep state is nearing bloodbath proportions, and whose now publicly outed sexual predators include Hollywood icons Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey, who made numerous videos calling for the overthrow of Trump, and elite anti-Trump media journalists Hamilton Fish, Leon Wieseltier, David Korn, Michael Oreskes, Mark Halperin, and numerous others soon to be destroyed too. Note: click on these persons' names to learn of their powerful positions and the vile crimes they're accused of committing. Like President Trump accomplished against his deep state leftist enemies by publicly outing them for the vile sexual predators they are, too, this report continues, so did he, also, issue another secret warrant to the NSA ordering them to discover and document all of the illegal money laundering ties between Saudi elites and both the Bush and Clinton crime families, many of which were long known since the 2004 publication of the shocking research book titled House of Bush, House of Saud: The Secret Relationship Between the World's Two Most Powerful Dynasties, that begins by asking the most politically explosive question in modern American history. How is it that 2 days after 9/11, when U.S. air traffic was tightly restricted, 140 Saudis, many immediate kin to Osama bin Laden, were permitted to leave the country without being questioned by U.S. intelligence? In order to keep their vast international criminal money laundering operation ongoing, this report notes, the Bush crime family worked jointly with the Clinton crime family, with Hillary Clinton being lavished with tens of millions of dollars by the Saudis, and their extremist Islamic allies, in order to ensure her 2016 U.S. presidential victory, and that was masterminded by Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, who, in addition to being one of the richest men in the world, and called the Warren Buffett of Saudi Arabia, is a personal friend of the globalist Bill Gates, owns large stakes in too many powerful American companies to count, and as an owner of Twitter, and knowing that his arrest was near, personally ordered President Trump's Twitter account to be deleted, and that Twitter explained was done by an employee who was leaving the company, which is, sort of, true, as Prince Al-Walid bin Talal is now living in a jail cell and won't be showing up at his Twitter office anytime soon. With anyone of sound mind knowing that if Trump became president he would destroy both the Bush and Clinton crime families, and use Saudi Arabia to help him to it, as they know where all the bodies are buried, this report says. President Obama, just weeks before the 2016 election, stunningly offered the Saudis more than $115 billion in weapons, other military equipment and training, the most of any U.S. administration in the 71-year history of the U.S.-Saudi alliance, in order to protect himself, but whose answer was received today by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman arresting everyone having had any contact with anyone associated with the Obamas, Bushes or Clintons he could find in his nation's government. This report concludes by noting that Saudi Arabia's taking down of all those associated with Bush and Clinton crime families, just hours ago, was deliberately timed to coincide with President Trump's 12-day trip to Asia, where he will be under the maximum protection from assassination by special police forces from the nations of Japan, China, Vietnam and the Philippines, none of whom are friendly with the deep state warmongers, with Japan going so far as to create an elite all-woman police force to protect the lives of Trump's wife First Lady Melania and his daughter Ivanka, and whose danger of a public execution is all too real. As the last American leader to go to war against the deep state, President John F. Kennedy, was shockingly abandoned by his Secret Service protectors just minutes before the CIA exploded his head in hail of bullets.